Welcome everyone, welcome to the OC Show Season 2 episode 15 I think, and today is a special episode that we're gonna be talking about Windows 10 and Skylake, the two main launches that did happen in the past 2 weeks. Welcome guys, if you're just watching us here in Europe, it's middle of the night. I'm Truthman from OverClocking-TV, and tonight we have a lot of special guests with us. That's actually the biggest OC show in terms of guests that we have. So first I have my co-host Timothée Xiala from Taipei. Hi Timothée, how are things going?
Hey, all good? Very crowded here.
For you guys it's the morning, of course. And we do have Peter, of course, from HWBot, the master of the league. That was your I just woke up sign, and I arrived right on time before, like 5 minutes before the show started.
I was plenty on time. Don't complain.
For the first time tonight, we have Neo from the Overclocker webzine. Hi, Neo.
Hi.
So you're actually the main guy behind the Overclocker, the web magazine that we can find like every few months, depending on the on the news of the amount of news that we can have. And although tonight, for the first time, we have Ades from Italy, from Revolution.it. Hi, man.
Hi guys, nice to be here with you.
Thank you guys for being here. I know it's early in the morning for you guys in Taipei, and it's actually late in the night for you, Ades, in Italy. Just before going a little bit more into details, I have a question for you guys in Taipei. How was the typhoon this weekend?
Well, as you can see, my hair is still here, so I think everything is fine. It was rough.
We had some discussion over the weekend because that was one of the biggest typhoon for the season. We had a few discussions before that. Peter, everything is still fine at your place? Like nothing broke or nothing is like flooded?
No, it was actually not a single issue. So yeah.
You spent the weekend just watching TV show and that's it?
The Saturday, yeah, for sure. Because on Saturday it was a lot worse. On Sunday you could just go out and walk. It was no problem.
Collect the broken trees and
make pictures.
This is amazing.
Well, that's a good thing. You guys don't own a scooter there, so otherwise that one might have been flying away in the
Actually,
wind.
a lot of the scooters were still standing in the city. It was like only on one occasion I saw one that was blown away like 10 meters further down the road. But then again, if someone announces that the strongest typhoon in 38 years is passing by, put your scooter inside, you know.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, just bring my scooter in the elevator just to go to my place. Like, what? And Neo, I think that you were like the other guys. Everything went fine this weekend.
Relatively, just a minor leak from a window.
Yeah, no hardware damage, nothing.
No, not even close to that.
Well, that's good then. Neo, that's the first time you're on the Overclockers, on the OC show. Can you introduce more what you're actually doing for the Overclockers?
Oh, okay. So, if you don't already know, the editor for the Overclocking magazine. So, we've been publishing this since, how long is it? 2010, right? So, it's bi-monthly, and I put that in. And yeah, we're just trying to basically cover everything hardware related and overclocking related and basically whatever tickles our fancy. So, is it plural, fancies or fancy?
Fancies.
Yeah.
I think.
Every second month, coming to technology and so forth. And yeah, you can find it online anywhere if you have an internet connection.
And most of the times you can find you guys on the Overclockers on Facebook. We at OverClocking-TV, and I know HWBot, you guys, although always repost when there's a new issue, you always make a news about it. What kind of content can we find inside the webzine? I know that we have some testing, but you also have some games from time to time.
Oh yes, we have games every second month because games are a big thing. Gaming, you know, and yeah, overclocking content, especially like the scores and so forth, what's happening in all the different leagues and so forth. That's in the magazine, and of course reviews and basically anything like featured editorials about any and all things technology related, more specifically computing.
Good, perfect. Well, thank you for being with us tonight on today for you guys on the OC show. It's gonna be a very interesting one with all the topic that we have to speak about tonight. And on the other side of Earth, we have Ades from Italy, and it's from Revolution.it. Can you introduce more, like, since when you're doing like Revolution.it?
We were born on March 2013, and we were like, okay, let's start from the scratch. We gave out our website, and we started to review a few things like fans and computer cases, and then we grew up really much in really short time, and we ended up covering many day ones, reviews and stuff like that. We also have an overclock team, and we usually hold up an overclock event on December, and it will be this year too on December. So
maybe we can have
cool.
some more pictures and some videos maybe in the OC show in December. We know.
Sure, yeah.
And in everything is in Italian, right?
Yeah, we mostly write in Italian, but for a short period we try to write English reviews. And we actually got a nice feedback from Sapphire that shared our review, and we got like 100,000 views on a single review. It's like 6 months of views on a single review, but it takes too much time. We have a lot of work to do every day, so we don't have time to translate reviews and write them in another language. So we put that on the side, and we'll take it back on translating in English as soon as we got more people working with us and we got a bigger reality. So at the moment we're just Italian, then we will switch to the 2 languages.
And are you focusing only on like the main board and the graphic cards, or do you although some mobile stuff on the side?
We review basically everything. Hardware, gaming, mobile stuff, also console games. We are quite broad on the kind of reviews we do, even though we're focusing on the hardware, since we're the PC Master Race, so we can do anything else.
Great. Well, thank you guys for the introductions. Thank you, Alice, for being here for the first time with us here in the OC show. Guys, if you're watching that at home, if you have any questions for any of the guys here tonight, don't forget we are monitoring the live chat. We saw that there's Dr. Tang 25 and Nigerian that are already on the live chat, as well as Obscure Paradox. Thank you guys for being here. Always fun to see that. If you want to share that with your viewer on Twitch, you can always type /host OverClocking-TV, and then that will be also displaying on your channel. And don't forget, if you like what we are doing here or the talk that we're gonna have tonight about Skylake and Windows 10, you can always follow us on Twitch and as well as the other social media. The name tag is always OverClocking-TV anywhere you go anyway. Well, quick questions for the Tape guy. What was the past 2 weeks? What did you do? Were you only focusing on Skylake?
Yeah, pretty much, I would say.
Not at all.
So, yeah, we were focusing on Skylake and Windows 10, and those are the discussion topics of today.
Yeah, but as I guess, like most of you guys tried both of them already, so we're gonna have some good things to talk about tonight.
Yeah, I guess Neo tried it the most. Peter tried it a bit.
Yeah, actually, that's...
Yeah, I saw some picture. We're testing some hardware in the lab or in the studio.
That was actually the MSI board and
Yeah.
the Asrock one. Did you use it here?
Yeah, I actually tried the Asrock one, but the only one that we put on the LN2 was the MSI motherboard. So,
Well, that's gonna be interesting. And I know that Ades, you had some of the mainboard too for reviews. So we're gonna have to speak about that after the online competition update with PJ. Basically, what are the competitions that are online right now and that are going on? I know there's the new Rookie Rumble.
There's a whole bunch of competitions going on.
There's way too much.
There's I think the most exciting ones are the ones that MSI and Gigabyte are hosting, and then also the last round of the Road to Pro in Season 3. So all the Challenger divisions as well as the Pro C started in 1st of August. We'll run until the end of September, and it's the final round of the season. So people who want to get to the champion seat will need to do very well in this last round.
And the last run of the season is gonna end up on the 30th of September. Don't forget, guys, if there's like 2 months before there's eliminations going on. If you want to know more about how that works, you can always go on OC-Esports.io, and you have all the details and all the different divisions that you can have on the Road to Pro Round 3. Peter, what did you expect to come out in this round?
I don't really have that much expectations. The hardware is pretty much the same like the last 2 rounds. So basically, anyone with a Haswell CPU in any of the categories or an AMD CPU in the 2 categories that have, or the 2 divisions we have for AMD, could compete with the same system across all the stages. The only difference with last round is that we've allowed the Fury X to be used in both Division 1 and Division 4, which is the top tier Intel and AMD divisions, but no Skylake. So Skylake is not allowed in the Road to Pro this year.
So that's gonna be we're gonna have to wait next year to have Skylake to be used then.
Well, yes, for the Road to Pro for sure. Of course, I expect that there's going to be some vendors who want to do Skylake-based overclocking competitions, considering how much Intel is trying to push overclocking on Skylake.
Well, if you still doesn't have Skylake because it's only been a week that it's available, there's a lot of competitions that can be used with your former D97 or X99. We have the Gigabyte Last Ray, Ambient and Extreme. There's also the MSI Godlike OC tournaments, the Ambient 2D and the Extreme 2D, and then there's going to be like a 3D round after that. Another big competitions that is running right now is the Team Cup. So the Team Cup is like gather everyone in your team and try to fight the other one as much as you can. Peter,
yes.
What is special this year about the Team Cup? Is that the exact same concept as last year, or there is some new twist?
The concept of the Team Cup has been pretty much the same since we started doing it in 2010. So the basic setup is one Team Cup consists of 4 substages. One of them is CPU, then you have a VGA, then you have a memory substage, and then miscellaneous for whatever goes into that category. And the stages in those sub-competitions vary from, try to get the best score with your most recent CPU to Super Pi 1M with a 486DX grade CPU, so really old ones before the Pentium 1 for those who are too young to remember. There's also a couple of low clock or low score competitions. For example, one of them is get the lowest score possible in Aquamark 3, and if I'm not mistaken, the current number 1 is benchbrothers.de from Germany, who ran Aquamark 3 for 77 hours straight to get a final score of 20 points in Aquamark. Just for a point of reference, the world record right now in Aquamark 3 is very close to 600,000. So that's about 3 million% faster than that slowest submission you see currently in the Team Cup.
Well, that is a challenge. Like, especially when you wait that long for the benchmark to finish. Like, you need to retry maybe like 2 or 3 times, and you lose like 3 days every time.
I would assume that he wasn't actually sitting at his desk waiting.
Yeah, I hope so.
I
hope so too.
He probably forgot it or something, like by mistake.
Well, one of those stages, like one of the tricks there is to when you set up your entire system, you need to have a UPS ready. If you have a power outage, you don't want to lose that run that you spent 2 or 3 days, running.
Well, I guess that all the Taiwanese didn't bench this weekend then.
Strangely enough, no power outage whatsoever.
Maybe in your area, I know that Sasha, he had 2 cut over the night because of the typhoon. Anyway, so far in the Team Cup, there's 52 teams competing. If you're not in a team yet, you can always join one and participate and exchange that in the forums. So far, the lead is the two best teams are from the US. It's a classicplatforms.com, and they have 826 points, and they are way in the lead, followed by overclockers.com with 693 points, and then we have Team Middle Life Gamer, Team MLG from UK, that is close to the second spot with 639 points. Then we have the Canadian Overclock.net, and then we fall back to Hardware.info from the Netherlands and some other new teams that we can see going on. We can see, as a French guy, I have to mention that Cocotland is 8th. They are very strong in the novice Nimbo, so maybe that's the first time for them to show off in the Team Cup and maybe put all the new guys to the overclocking scene to be part of this Team Cup and maybe make the French flag be one more time on the top. Well, once again, questions for you, Ades. Do you think that the ranking gonna stay like this? The US team will win this Team Cup?
That's a nice question. I always cheered up for the US teams, even though I always cheer up for Italian teams if there's someone. I didn't see any Italian team, so I'm gonna stay with the US guys. You know, it's it's like it's us or the US. I don't care about the others. I hope the French don't get that egg. So yeah, there's the Overclockers.com team that is maybe going to take the lead on the classic platforms, guys. Even though there's a lot of low scores and ancient stuff like via CPUs and stuff like that, so that's still so open. You just can't say they're going to win. It's just everything.
There's still more than 50 days in this competition, so everything can change. From like someone that is in the bottom ranking right now can just maybe jump up and finish in the top 10. Neo, what do you have favorite teams for this Team Cup?
I don't have a horse in this race. I just like to see people benching whatever it is, right? I mean, obviously, you would assume from previous rankings that the US teams are going to win because they just have the volume of overclockers, right? Quality overclockers. But you know, anything can happen, so who knows what will happen. Always willing to cheer for the guy who's winning because I like to be on the winning side.
Another competitions to mention before we switch to the hot topic for this week of the OC show is the Old School is Best School round 4 and 5. So round 5 just started August 1st. And the round 4 is still going on. So if you like the very old hardware, like very, I won't say crap stuff because when that went out, that was very good. But I mean like the very old stuff that you're not supposed to find anywhere in the stores that you can only find on eBay and stuff like this. You can always go compete in Old School is Best School. Just good to mention that on the round 3, classicsplatforms.com actually won on the round 3. For the Old School is Best School.
And on round 2, and on round 1.
Yes.
That's like getting all the winners.
Actually, round 5 is pretty interesting because it's going to be Socket 3 and Voodoo cards. So some good souvenirs from back then. Actually, I read the cards are pretty expensive on eBay.
Yeah.
Some Voodoo cards are...
There's one card apparently with 4 GPUs on one PCB that is pretty expensive.
Yeah,
Wasn't there one card with 8
that,
GPUs as well?
No, it was the 4. That was the...
We got one of that.
6000.
My co-founder got one of that. He got all the Voodoo's cards, so it's gonna be fun actually. I'm going to convince him to bench for that round.
He has to, if not it would be a waste.
I mean, right now, if you go on eBay, you want to try to buy a Voodoo 5, it's like $140 plus $30 shipping.
Cheap, it's not cheap for such an old card.
They're very rare items. They're more of collector's items than they really are anything else.
And there's someone else selling like another Voodoo 5 for like $440. Damn, that's the price of Skylake. With like 1/10 of the performances.
Not even probably.
well, that's
selling
gonna be fun to see some
power
some
cable.
distance. Yeah, Ades, you were saying?
Yeah, they're selling the power cable for €50. The power cable, it's just a connector with the Molex on the end. They're selling that for €50. That's like, oh my god.
It's a relief, you know.
Well, guys, if you are watching this live show here on Twitch or later on the replay on YouTube, don't forget you can always go to any of these competitions on OC-Esports.io and you can join one of the teams if you don't have one yet. And you can always compete and try to make your team or yourself shine in the ranking. So, hot topic for tonight, we have Skylake K launch and Windows 10. We're gonna start by Skylake. We're gonna try to not be too long on this one, even though there's a lot of things going on. So as you know, guys, Intel just launched a new architecture for the CPUs. It's called Skylake, and they launched two SKU. They launched two CPUs, especially on August 5th at the Gamescom. They launched the Core i7 6700K and the Core i5 6600K. They also launched the Z170 chipset, the new platform, and this platform supports DDR3L, so that's the low voltage, and DDR4, so that's one of the most interesting points. And they also introduced a new socket, so yes, one more socket for you guys. We had the LGA 1155, 1156, 1150, and now it's the LGA 1151. And this one, so that means it's not backward compatible with everything that was existing before. But the good thing is the mounting point is exactly the same, so you can always reuse your actual cooling. If you're watching this right now or on YouTube, let us know in the comment or on the live chat if you already have ordered Skylake, because it's been out for a few days now. It's been out for like maybe 4 days. So maybe you're waiting the parcel at home with the new mainboard and new CPU inside. And we are here today, pretty much everyone except myself got his hand on one of the mainboards. So we have some right now in the lab in Taipei. We have one from, well, Neo, do you want to present all the motherboard that we have?
Yeah, sure thing. So obviously what you have here, I'll actually start with the Gigabyte one. What you have is, I suppose these are the new Gigabyte gaming colors. So it's the white and red and black.
It's gaming?
Yeah, well, it says as much, G1 gaming. So yeah, I haven't really used this board. In fact, I only just saw it for the first time in person just today, right? So, but it looks pretty interesting. Yeah, can't really say much about it. Like I said, I haven't tested it yet, so there's really isn't much I can say about that. And then we have, what else we have? We have the Asrock board, which I actually did use. Pretty interesting board as usual from Asrock. BIOS is great. And yeah, I think this is going to be a really killer motherboard. No pun intended, just to put on network and stuff like that. Yeah. Like the DVI output. I don't know if you can actually see that. Let me turn it around.
You can see it.
Actually a DVI output there. So that actually helps when you're clocking the IGP for some reason. You tend to lose signal on the HDMI output, right? On some of the motherboards. I'm not sure if it applies to the Asus board as well, but this DVI, you actually don't get that issue.
The Gigabyte one has one as well, right? DVI?
Does it? Check. Sure. Nope, no, there's no DVI on the Gigabyte board. So yeah, pretty simplistic board. There's really not much to say about it. We know all the magic these days is in the BIOS, right? That's what we're really interested in. And then let's move on to another motherboard. Let's see. This MSI motherboard is in some ways incomplete, only because it's missing the, what do you call it, the shroud here that should be here. the IO shield.
The IO shield, like the back cover that all the motherboards have now.
Yeah, so that's what's missing here. Again, actually, this was the first board I received for the Z170 platform, and I must say it's actually come a long way with the different BIOS iterations that we've had. So from, I think the first version I got was like 130, and now we have 153, and it's been improving with each BIOS revision. So it actually makes you wonder how you would do a review on the earlier BIOSes. But anyway, yeah, pretty interesting board. Like that it has LN2 mode, or at least not LN2 mode, but slow mode. So you can still bench this board even though you don't have the X power or M power, whatever it is. Pretty interesting stuff. And then finally, we have the Asus board. There's actually no need to say it, but at present, this seems to be the most complete overclocking motherboard there is. I haven't used it yet, but from what I've seen and the scores that people have put up, this looks like a real winner over here. We'll have to see how it does, and well, further scrutiny at least. Little motherboard, but most importantly, I think people are waiting for the extreme version, which will be an extreme version of this.
I suppose, yeah. But none of the actual OC boards of all those boards are out.
There's actually no OC board, so Gigabyte doesn't have its OC board, neither does MSI. I'm not sure about Asrock, or definitely Asus doesn't have the OC board out.
I don't think the OC formula is in retail either.
Oh,
yeah. So those boards are not ready, I suppose.
Yeah. So, yeah, it will be very interesting to see how all of these boards stack up against each other.
They're all black and red, it seems.
Yeah, so it seems Asus was right initially by doing black and red on their gaming or ROG products, because everybody just started going black and red.
Saw some interesting results from Asrock as well. If we're going to start talking about overclocking results, obviously Asus was the most prepared. On launch day, they had like 7 world records and 10 global first places. You know, trashing basically the Skylake leaderboards and benchmark leaderboards in general. But so Asrock didn't really put anything up. But in the last couple of days, we saw Splave and Loud Silence.
There were some memory scores, right?
Yeah. So they had they broke the memory world record with G-Skill memory, and then Splave and Loud Silence they went for XTU. So they have the global first place in the 4-core category right now. I haven't seen anything from Gigabyte yet. MSI put up some CPU-Z validations and memory validation as well.
Yeah, when I went to Gigabyte on Friday to collect that board. So I got the brief for this motherboard, and so they were saying there's another higher-end gaming one that is on top of that, which is, I don't know to which other board we could compare it, but it's basically the very similar design, just with extra, like, I think it comes with the DVI and all that stuff. And then there would be the OC board, which I briefly saw on the shelves with all the R&D stuff plugged to it, but yeah, it's not ready yet for retail or testing, I suppose, so we'll see how that goes. But it's pretty interesting.
Well, guys, I'm actually just made a poll on Stropol. Will you upgrade to Skylake Z170 and DDR4 before we continue going too much in details for all the Skylake? You can always click on the link and vote what will be your best jump. Will you upgrade for Skylake or not? Before we go a bit more into the details of all the overclocking scores that happened, because that was like a massive takeover of the ranking at the day of the launch. Let's go back to some of the details of the 2 CPU that have been launched. There's as I said, the Core i7 6700K. This one is like 4 GHz and can go to 4.2 in the turbo frequency. 4 core, 8 threads, so hyper-threading on it, 8 meg of cache, support DDR4 and although DDR3L, so that's gonna be the same for the 2 SKU today. 91 watts, and the official recommended price is like 350 USD. Depending on some of the e-tailers, the price might change a little bit. And the Core i5 6600K is 3.5 GHz. The turbo frequency is a little bit below 4 gig, so it's like 3.9. 4 cores, no hyper-threading, so 4 core, 4 threads. 6 meg of cache, and pretty much the same thing like DDR4 and DDR3 support. 91 watts of TDP and 243 or 42 USD for the recommended price. It's supposed that the 6700K is replacing the 4790K, the Devil's Canyon, and the 6600K is replacing the 4690K. That was the as well refresh. They're supposed to fall in the same or kinda the same price range. It's like maybe $10 more expensive at the time of launch, but the 6600K is the same price as the 4670K at the time of launch. So that's pretty much stay in the same kind of area in terms of market price. Guys, that's good. We have 2 SKU, but We need more, and that's actually the two SKU that are like over $240. That's like for the high end, and that's the premium. That's the K. That's the unlock one. So that's the one that have overclocking and everything. Do you have any idea if they will be releasing more of the K, like maybe like 2 or 3 more SKU for the K, or even if they're gonna have like the G3258 version for Skylake? Do you guys know anything about that?
Not anything that I know of. I mean, I thought the anniversary edition was exactly that, an anniversary. So if they have another one, then it's not so special.
That's gonna be the second anniversary edition.
Yeah. So I don't know if they'll have another one, but
I would assume that if they would have planned to have a Pentium K, they would have launched it along with the 6600K. Like Neo said, the previous Pentium, the G3258, wasn't a K-SKU processor. It was an anniversary edition, and for the anniversary, they unlocked it. But it wasn't it wasn't the start of a new K-SKU lineup. Even though a lot of people refer to it as Pentium K.
Yeah. And we're wishing there would be more.
They should have one more.
Everyone expects.
But that's a totally different topic.
Yeah, so maybe for another
they could call it like the G6258 maybe.
Yeah, well, for sure it's not part of the KSQ lineup. You know, maybe we can have some wishful thinking, and hopefully, and maybe they put something in the regular Skylake launch lineup, which is supposed to be launched very soon. But there's literally no news about the Pentium or any Pentium overclockable Skylake CPU whatsoever. None of the roadmaps, none of the announced CPU, the databases or the lists of the CPUs that are coming for Skylake. So nothing basically.
Well, maybe we will see. Depends on how long the Skylake platform gonna be out. Like the Z170 platform will be out, but maybe in a year, instead of doing a refresh, maybe that will just release one of these new SKUs. I hope so. I hope so. Really, I hope so.
There is going to be a refresh of Skylake, which is called Kaby Lake, which is coming before Cannon Lake, which is the supposed successor of Skylake. So for sure, we already have one Skylake refresh, like Devil's Canyon refresh was to Haswell. So maybe then, who knows?
Well, I think we just lost Ares. His internet he was claiming that his internet was so stable. Maybe not.
He's so disappointed about not having a Pentium K.
Yeah.
That's it for me.
God damn it!
Like facing humanity lost. I'm just going to that. There's also new things. The CPU itself is not the same height. It's not the same height of the previous one. So if you compare side to side, like the Aswell CPU and the Skylake CPU, it's not the same. It feels a little bit less solid, if I would say it this way. But you're not supposed to smash this with the hammer anyway. What was the first feeling when you guys had it in hand? Neo, when you did test it, does that change anything?
I couldn't tell you technically what it changes or electronically, but it definitely is a smaller, what do you call it, a PCB than what you find with the previous generation CPUs, right? Interestingly enough, from the people that I have spoken to who have delidded the CPUs, the thermal paste that Intel used, right, between the IHS and the CPU die is actually even more inferior, or at best the same quality as what we had with Haswell. So that seems to be the performance limiting factor, right? It's in terms of frequency and thermals and so forth. So yeah, I don't know, maybe Intel was saving costs. Most likely they were saving costs actually, because if you can sell something for the same price and just have it cost you less, make more money. So
make more money.
It's not a bad thing, that's what business is for. But you should be aware of the fact that it doesn't necessarily clock as well as some claims on the internet had it, where it was 5.3 gigahertz on air cooling. I don't know how that would be possible, but yeah, that's just not true.
So far, the average sort of overclock is around like 4.6, 4.7 with 1.4 volts, I think, on air cooling.
Yeah, which is basically what you had with Haswell,
yeah.
Right? It's not really that. In fact, it's actually what you have with Haswell E as well, like just 100 megahertz lower, but it's generally around that area.
Yeah. Actually, I find it pretty sad that the thermal thing is here.
So,
again.
so let's go back to this thermal interface material that is in the CPU. So you have the CPU and you have the AHS that is protecting like a caps on top of the CPU to protect the core for any damage. And there's they need to have like a thermal paste in between. And it seems like this thermal paste is having some performance issue, if I would say, or maybe either the way they use it or the way they put it in the factories. You have a huge gain into deleting the CPU, removing the thermal paste, changing in, putting a new one, and putting back the IHS. And I think that was Splave that did test it.
Yeah.
And he said that is like 18 degrees lower in temperature for under load for that, and you gained like between 100 and 300 megahertz. I think that was Roman claiming that. Is that right, Peter?
Yeah, so Splay said he gained, or he lost, however you want to put it, 18 degrees centigrades under load on air cooling, and then Roman Gerbauer said he would get on average between 100 and 300 megahertz gain under liquid nitrogen.
Wow.
So it's pretty funny because Intel came on stage at Gamescom and the slides all said they're super committed to overclocking and to gaming, and then what we get is no case queue and thermal paste that is not as good as Devil's Canyon.
Yeah.
I mean, losing or reducing your thermal overhead by 18 degrees centigrade just by delidding and swapping out the thermal interface, that's a lot. So.
Actually, funny you should say that. Apparently, you can have a full pot of LN2 going, and the real temperature is actually in the positive degrees. That's how bad the thermal interface material is, right? So you are looking at minus 120 degrees, but the real temperature is actually 5 degrees.
So if you want to do any serious extreme overclocking on that chip, you need to...
Yeah, you probably need to delete it.
We already see that in XT as well. The current top scores are about 5.3, 5.4 gigahertz, and both Loud Silence and Splave are saying that the most important part or the most difficult part about mastering XTU with Skylake is making sure that your CPU doesn't throttle under load. And I think that's maybe what we saw with Dr. Weeze, who on launch day pushed I think 1760 in XTU at 6.3 gigahertz.
Yes.
Whereas he's getting beaten by people at 5.3, like 1 gigahertz lower. And maybe his CPU was just throttling.
Yeah, Alva did that, right? Yeah.
Alpha was very close, like 1710, and then Dr. Weeze had 1712, and it was about 1 gigahertz difference in frequency.
So we are getting. I think Intel did make the commitment to target overclocking, but maybe that just didn't translate well into the engineering part of it. All right, or I don't know. There's some constraints that they have that we are not privy to.
The TIM feedback is here since quite a while already. So.
Yeah. Then again, our feedback versus pricing for manufacturers, so forth. You have to balance.
Well, how much does it cost actually to apply a better one yourself?
Oh yeah, that's cheap.
Well, the main issue is
you
avoid, if you apply it yourself, you avoid the warranty. So it's kind of like cost you the price of the CPU.
Yeah.
For you,
Not if you seal the CPU properly.
I see that you had some issue with RMA before.
Don't say your name.
I didn't. I sealed the CPU back with black silicone, and I sent it to RMA, and there was no problem at all. I'm saying that on video, but hey, the CPU's gone. I don't care. Anyways,
in Intel's defense. So in Intel's defense, when they talk about commitment to overclocking, we do have to give it to them that they've enabled seamless overclocking for BCLK, which means that you're no longer tied to these BCL core clocks and to the specific memory dividers. You can go up with the BCLK from 100 to 550 megahertz.
Yeah.
The beauty of that in the past, however, was that you could overclock, or you could do the BCLK on the low-end SKUs as well, or the locked CPUs as well. So they gave us back, they gave us back the BCLK.
And you lost it somewhere else.
But it still only applies for two of the processors, which are the two most expensive ones in their lineup.
So all we have to dream for is that IDF will bring some maybe extra chips or maybe nothing.
But in fact, almost unrelated to this, but important is that I haven't seen anybody actually talk about the CPU that is probably the closest, the black sheep, if you say, of the family, the Intel family, is that the 5820K is actually I don't want to say better CPU, but it's a very attractive purchase if you're looking to change platforms, because it's only $46 more, but with that you do get extra cores, you do get more PCIe lanes from the CPU. And funnily enough, if they are both clocked at the same frequency, so assume 4.2 gigahertz each, the 5820K actually delivers the same performance, if not better, for $46 more. So since you have to change motherboards, you have to change memory, why not just go X99?
You made that argument when we were testing Skylake
when
last
you arrived
week
on
as
the
well.
first day.
And I was thinking about this weekend. The X99 is also a more interesting platform if you think on a longer term, because 5820K will give you 6 cores. Long term, you can always upgrade to the 8 core within the Asrock family. Plus, the X99 is supposed to be okay for Broadwell or Skylake K as well. So you have this entire upgrade platform in front of you. If you want to have even more cores, you can switch to a Xeon as well. Whereas with Skylake or with the Z170 platform, you're stuck with 4 cores.
Exactly.
That's it.
Unless in the future there is more cores.
And all you're basically paying more is just $46 more. So that is a real concern for anybody who wants to make the switch. And I mean, saying that it supports DDR3L is of no consequence to anyone who's buying a K SKU. DDR3L.
Well, prices of DDR4s have dropped down quite significantly.
Tremendously. And DDR3L doesn't have high-speed memory. Anyway, how many vendors do you know?
But almost no one will be using DDR3L because it's not widely available. It is available, but the performances that you get out of that are that's just ridiculous. That's gonna be great for like the Mania TX1 that like low skew and low power.
It's for
that's gonna be
laptops,
good, but that's it.
PCs for your HD PCs and stuff like this.
Yeah. So it's not that Skylake is bad in any way. It's actually a great platform, especially with the changes to the PCH. But given that the 5820K does exist, maybe Intel made that one too good, and I don't know. It's a real concern. It's not a clear cut, oh, you should just upgrade to this one. X99 is still very, very attractive, especially given that everybody will be changing to DDR4.
I would even say that X99 has become a lot more attractive
Yes,
now
actually.
because, well, as you said before, the price of DDR4 dropped by about 50% in January, so in 6 months' time, slashed in half essentially. CPU is not more expensive than Skylake. It can overclock pretty much the same. You have more bandwidth, more cores.
Exactly. Right. And
So-
Here in Italy, 58, 20, and 6700 are priced the same, 400 euros.
Yeah.
So DDR4 are the same.
Exactly.
Mainboards are freaking expensive. So there's actually no point if you don't are like overclocker beast like us or some other guys in buying a Skylake platform. I mean, in gaming, clock per clock, that's just 6% increase in performance. I've been testing the i5 to 2500 against the 6600K, and there was like 5-6% performance difference. That's not enough to justify an upgrade. That I mean, at least the i5. I will be getting the i7 the next week. I'm buying one. I'm upgrading to Skylake too, and I will be able to tell more about it. But as far as now, I don't think it's worth the upgrade. At least for gamers and mainstream and mid-end users.
That's sort of the market that Intel was aiming for, because Sandy Bridge did extremely well as they could overclock to basically 5 gigahertz if you had a decent sample with decent cooling. And a lot of people had Sandy Bridge, and then Ivy Bridge wasn't really compelling. Haswell was not really that compelling. Devil's Canyon was just a small upgrade over Haswell. So people are still have their Sandy Bridge system, and Skylake was supposed to be the new big thing for people to upgrade from Sandy Bridge to Skylake.
Yeah. But then again, Sandy Bridge was actually soldered on. It wasn't a paste, right? So that actually helped the overclocking a lot. We haven't had that since that time, so our expectations of 5 gigahertz plus are not going to be met anytime soon, right? It's just not going to happen. But yeah, it's always good to get a new platform. I mean, let's not just trash Skylake. Skylake is great, and we've already seen new records and things like that, top scores and so forth.
It's faster than Haswell, that's for sure. There's no callback supposedly, so
that's more interesting.
It's a lot easier to get better result than you had before. With the BCLK basically opened up. It gives a lot more room for tuning and tweaking, and which are going to be the fastest straps to work with, memory straps wise. DDR4 is getting slashed in half in terms of prices as well, so there's a lot more room to play with as well. I would say that if you want to upgrade to Skylake just from an interest point of view, where you just say, okay, I want to upgrade because I want to see what it is, for sure you're going to have a good time and you'll find it enjoyable because there is so much new for mainstream.
Like everything is new. DDR4 is going to mainstream, new chipset. There's a new bunch of features on the motherboard, even though that's not really new, but just like a refresh of what was existing. There's the USB 3.1. There's a lot of stuff that you can actually try out with just this new platform. I'm actually even maybe like upgrading some of the system and not even asking for sponsors to send me one, but just buying one just to test out, and mainly because of the DDR4, because I didn't want to afford like the X99 system because it's way too expensive at first.
Yeah.
But it's like, oh, now it's like
the price is more or less the same. It's like,
now the price is almost the same. I would have expected that to be cheaper.
Yeah. Well, I guess for people that haven't upgraded, like for Haswell E or just Haswell, like that might be a good upgrade no matter what.
Yeah.
It's about time to upgrade to begin with, and that would be if those people that haven't upgraded since I don't know Sandy Bridge, Ivy Bridge era, then. They're probably the kind of guys that upgrade every 3 or 4 years to begin with, so that would be a worthy upgrade, I suppose.
But
it's time to upgrade if you want to play Dota.
Oh yeah, sure.
You're gonna play Dota as well. It's like you don't even need to upgrade, I suppose. Just get a bigger graphics card, and even then.
It will probably run Crysis this time.
Yeah, can it run Crysis? Before going back to some of the details, and there's a lot to say about DDR4 and so on. For you guys that are actually considering, the 25% of you guys that are considering to upgrade to Skylake, and not talking about the 75% of you guys that answer Obi-Wan to the poll, there seems to not be any default cooler in the 6600K and the 6700K. So you just get the CPU, so it's mostly like upgrade. I think that's like Intel is like pushing really the argument on don't get a new PC, just upgrade it. But well, you have to upgrade everything, like the main board, the CPU, memory.
The only thing you can keep is your graphics card.
Yeah.
And your
and
SSD.
Your case, and your PSU maybe. And the cooler actually. The cooler is probably
and the cooler, yeah. So
actually, the PSU might be not compatible.
Oh yes, true. There has been some posts over the weekend of some guys that have compatibility issues with their PSUs.
What?
Yeah,
Yep.
And also there's a new
French guys
G-State.
were posting stuff.
I heard there is some 1300 watt. I think it's from Entech that have issue with some of the motherboard. But if we rewind back in the past, that already happened. Like I think that was the X58 OC and some Corsair AX 860i. That's some issue in the plugs and so on.
But that
so
issue
maybe that's gonna be
for the Antec is very weird because the guy, one other guy had the same issue and said he just swapped it to the exact same power supply he bought again in the shop because he wanted to get the same and it was working with the new one. So
yeah, but same model does not mean the same internals.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
can easily swap factories.
So something probably changed somewhere along the lines.
And although we talk about the CPU size, the new box, I don't know if Timothy you can show like the Anantech article. The box is RGB. We have RGB light on the boxes now. That's gonna be awesome.
Well, it's an interesting change for the box. Actually, I hated the other one with that kind of like a cyborg kind of weird head on it that didn't look like
this
anything.
one looks
like,
cool.
I mean, like the other box, seriously, the design was looking like some kind of entry-level student designer would do out of school. So
it looked like management figured out what gamers really want.
So now it looks like a little bit more colorful, which is, I guess, more multimedia, which is about time for CPUs anyway to begin with. So it's great. I guess the idea behind those colors is probably pushing their kind of pathway of saying, hey, our IGP now can actually run most of the games at, you know, entry or mid graphics. So so that is kind of probably the argument why they use those colors, so people actually maybe figure it out that way. But I guess most of the people still believe or want to use discrete graphics cards.
Yeah, actually, it's worthwhile having the IGP enabled. Even
that would be a difference with X99 then.
Yeah, that is the difference, because now you can use quick sync and video encoding.
But you could already before.
Yeah, but now it's even quicker, right?
I'm waiting to test this
so
out.
yeah, quick sync is really quick. So even if you have a discrete graphics card, you still want to use that.
It will be still faster. Yeah.
The only issue with that is that you need to have a monitor plugged into the IGP.
If not, yes.
Yeah, which is
I have this issue on some
annoying.
of our streaming system where if you boot them up remotely, like a Wake Online or something, if you haven't a monitor plugged in, there's no way you can remote control the machine. So you have to go there, plug something for a second. You can unplug it after that. That's fine. The graphics starts, but then it's like you kind of lose the whole point of it, which is like a bit weird.
Yeah, but it will be an interesting platform going forward and seeing how it changes anything. Right?
Yeah, we'll see.
I just want to have a Pentium unlocked.
Okay.
You're of those guys. See you in 2 years. Actually, no. See you in 8 years for the next 10 years.
I think it doesn't make any sense to have a CPU box with no cooler inside, which is obviously targeted at DIY or people that can, build their own cooler onto it. So you kind of promote the DIY, the enthusiast segment, the same way that Intel was pushing their Galileo boards to the makers. They really want to have people.
Don't start me on the Galileo boards.
They really want people to start working with their technologies in a sort of a maker DIY kind of space.
It was great until it was only limited to university students. What?
With Timo, they were trying to actually get one to test some stuff. It's like, oh no, you're not a student, you're not in university, you cannot get it. Yeah, okay, I will use Raspberry Pi then. Too bad.
It's like it's a lot of things like this.
So yeah, they give the Galileo board to the students, and then for students who want to enjoy their newest desktop platform, oh sorry, you need to have a very expensive CPU for this. Okay.
So here's this little board that costs almost nothing, and you can also use that to connect it to your computer.
Well, guys, let's not go too much outside of Skylake because there's so much to say. Alongside with the new sockets and stuff like this, there's also the new way of controlling the voltage. So on Aswell and Broadwell, we had like the VCC in, that was like the one voltage input pretty much, that was the managing everything on the CPU. And that did change in Skylake, so we have the VCC and VCC GT, so we have one for the CPU and one for the graphic parts. Peter, did you have the time to look a little bit more in detail on all the different voltage that we can actually feed to the CPU?
No, sorry.
Maybe
Neo has.
There's a lot of voltages. I mean, your PLL voltage, your SFR voltage, your GT voltage. There's so many of them, it can actually become overwhelming.
Is it the VCC I/O that you need to increase to get liquid helium compatibility?
Something like that. I know some CPUs, as always, will behave differently depending on how much VCIO you apply. Some like very high for like 1.7. Others won't even post at 1.7. So you'll just have to find the one that works for you. But it is more than just VCore. Definitely more than just VCore.
So a bit more
actually, one voltage disappeared. The V ring. The V ring disappeared.
Oh, the V ring.
The voltage for the cache.
Oh,
it is just included into the CPU voltage now. There's no more V ring to feed. Yeah, everything is included into the V-core now. You used to have the cache voltage before. I don't know how everyone calls that. It was V ring and V cache and blah blah. Every brand had its own way of calling that. Now it's managed by the CPU voltage. So if you want to feed voltage to the cache, you gotta increase the CPU voltage. So that's a way to make it simpler. Even though I don't know, it will benefit the cache overclock. Since now I think it's dropping more on the vCPU. I think the load line will be put on the maximum every time now. There won't be any chance to set it to medium or medium to high. It will always be extreme.
Yes, you in fact on the boards I tested, you only get 100%. I don't know these percentages, but anyway, you get 100% of disabled or auto. You don't get stepped. Right?
Yes, no, maybe. Anyway, that's on.
Yeah, actually, if you want to have 100% in auto, why don't you just have off, on, and auto? What's the 100%?
Maybe it's a future feature.
You can have 90%. Why? But anyway, yeah. Just,
yes and no.
The motherboard differences, I suppose.
Yeah, and that's also one thing. To this date, it's the launch. Like it's been like 4 or 5 days, maybe like 5 days now, 4 days now, and the BIOS are like most of the BIOS on launch date are always a bit tricky. Sometimes stuff works everything out of the box, and sometimes we try to change it, and it's like, oops, it's not working anymore. Just need to wait like maybe 3 weeks, 2 months. Nowadays, it's going actually faster at every new chipset and new mainboard and new platform. It's actually going faster to be like completely mature and have all the compatibility with all the RAM and so on. But this one, there's so much change. Like the new architecture, there's a new memory, like the new support for DDR4. There's actually dual support for DDR3 and DDR4. So I'm pretty sure that some of the manufacturers gonna struggle for the first like maybe 2 months in getting all the BIOS right to have like the compatibility with all the memories. Neo, when you did test, did you have any issue with like the memory compatibility, or you just plug the memory and just run and that was working?
I mean, basic memory compatibility, and I'm talking now speeds that are 3200 and lower. That was fine. That is not an issue. You just load XMP and it works, right? So that's in contrast to X99, which had a lot of issues with DDR4, right? But I think vendors have learned a lot just going through that painful process of getting XMP to work on X99 platform. With Skylake, 3200 works easily enough, and speeds higher than that, maybe not so well, but there aren't many kits that are 3400, well, 3466 and so forth. So I can't tell you about that, but definitely 3200, 3000 and so forth, they all work seamlessly. Right?
That's good. Hades, did you have any issue on your side, or everything was working fine even at launch state?
Actually, I had some problems with the Asrock board, but it was just because the BIOS they sent me was not the retail one. The Asrock,
because you received the board in advance.
Yeah, I received the board on 29th of July, so it was pretty before the official launch. So I had some problems. It was like compatibility problems or BSODs or stuff like that. I just had poor performances. And when I sent the review to the Europe guys from Asrock, they said, "Oh, you have the old BIOS, that's the new BIOS." And I was like, okay, but I got no time, I gotta review other boards, so you're gonna wait. I was on time for that review, and you just waited for the review to come out to send me the new BIOS. And I was like, okay, let's do the review from scratch. And with DRAMs, I had no problems. I tried a Corsair Dominator Platinum 2666 kit, and I had no problems with the XMP. And I tried Clev 3000 MHz memory, and I had no problems at all. I actually got really high performances out of the two kits compared to my X99 board. Also because I had no bottlenecks from the CPU, even though I was running an i5. While on my 5960X, I had few bottlenecks with the memory kits. Like, I don't know, maybe it's because the base frequency is higher. so it doesn't bottleneck the DRAM. I happened to test the thing, and it's like the cache is bottlenecking DRAMs. I didn't find the same problem on the i5. I will check on the i7 too, and I think it will be even better since it's 4 GHz base clock instead of 3.5. So that's it. I also tested the M7 board from MSI, and I was really charmed by the board. It had great look, great performances, and great overclock headroom. I was able to bring the CPU to 4.8 with just 1.37 volts. So that's quite cool. Also because it's a gaming board, you know, they got the gaming and overclocking thing together, but it seems to work just like the ROG boards.
Okay, that's actually interesting to see that. Well, there's an issue that when you do review at launch, there's always issue with like, oh, this is the new driver version, or this is the new BIOS version, and you always have to redo all your tests because that's changing. Like when you have a new GPU, it's always the same. Like the day of launch, there's a new version of the driver, and you have to rebench everything that you did. And it's that's what I say. Like there was some people that did a live stream on my own channel on Twitch earlier last week, actually last weekend. And there was a friend in France that was like, hey, I want a new computer, so what did you recommend me? And it was like, wait, you know what, the Skylake is gonna be out in like next week, just wait for Skylake and see what's going on. And I told him like the good rule is wait always 2 weeks to before you buy something new, unless you're like a hardcore early adopter like most of the overclockers are. And from there, you can find out like what are the feedbacks from you're gonna have all the reviews out, you're gonna have all the feedbacks from people that already buy it, all the overclockers that jump on the bandwagon and that just test it. There's some guy that already ordered it and received it and were benching it like before. And I'm talking about guys that bought it online, not people that receive it from manufacturers. So usually like wait 2 weeks, find out which one is the best fit for you, and you know, build the new PC.
Just to add to what
yeah,
you're
Neil?
saying, it's very odd that for overclockers, they can work around any BIOS issue, right? So if you have just different voltages and so forth, and load Windows first and try memory training again, and there's a lot of things that overclockers do, right? Because they're stuck in the technology. That's what they want to do. They like to fiddle. But for gamers and general consumers, reviews sometimes can be misleading in the beginning because you are dealing with a very early BIOS. And what usually happens with reviews is that vendors don't necessarily want to hear any negative feedback out in the public space. So reviews tend to only tell you the good things. They don't tell you about very obvious problems that you'll only come across when you buy it and it's new. So it's generally best, as you say, to wait 2 weeks, if not longer, if you can, because the BIOS can change your motherboard from terrible to good, right? So you have to be wary of reviews that give like a 10 out of 10 on launch day. That's not possible, right? Because I can tell you that the amount of reports that I sent back to all the vendors, right, those BIOSes are not ready. They have to ship out to distributors so it can get them to retail and so forth. But if the review comes out and it was written 3 weeks prior to retail availability, which means that BIOS is so bad, but you won't get to hear about that. So as end users, you should really, really be careful. Rather read what you're not hearing rather than what is being said. Right? Listen to what you're not being told. Because overclockers will always give you the 6 gigahertz, because they can get BIOSes that general people don't get, right? And they can, like I said, fix issues. They can, what do you call
Well,
this?
the fix issue that goes into the final BIOS after and the BIOS update. That's why there's always BIOS update even after
Yes,
the port is down.
definitely. You keep getting BIOS, and the boards just keep getting better. So it's not even fair to the motherboard. You can give a motherboard a bad rating, but then 6 BIOS revisions later, it's fantastic, you know, because they've sorted out so many things that were a problem at the time. So reviews sometimes can be too harsh, or they can be too good for a product that's just not ready. So it was our approach that we actually just wait. Just wait until you have a stable BIOS that represents what people are going to find at their end, instead of just being first. Because being first is not important as being right? It's important to represent what the actual motherboard is, not necessarily just being first. So yeah, Skylake exactly the same thing, right? So HDMI issue still exists on a lot of motherboards and hasn't been sorted out, but very few reviews will actually reveal that.
Yeah. There's actually some guys asking
I
in the
would
chat.
like to say something.
Go ahead, maybe.
Sorry. Let me tell you something. I gave 10 out of 10 to the M7 board from MSI, but I just received the latest BIOS the day before I received the board. It's the latest BIOS. There's no newer BIOS than that. It actually came out 3 days for later, and so I was with the last version of the BIOS. Meanwhile, on the Asrock board, the guy went on holiday because he had to go on holiday, so he couldn't send me the BIOS. And I was backed up by the support guys in Europe, and they sent me later after the review. I actually had an argument with the Asrock guys because they said, "Oh, performances are poor and stuff like that," and I said, "Hey, those are the numbers that I recorded. It's not my fault. It's your board." Yeah. Even though I gotta admit, Skylake is a great platform. I mean, the raw power is really high. I tested that with Lynx software. I don't know if you know that, the Intel burn test. It used the algebraic libraries that test the performance for that thing, and it was like high candy for 770K. For an i5, that's a lot of raw power, so it will take some time to get even faster, just as you said. But there were boards that were ready on the launch, actually. For example, the MSI one.
Well, it's been like almost 45 minutes we're talking about Skylake. Just to wrap up, we can actually go on for like 3 hours on this one. And we didn't even went into details of all the main boards and all the features that are actually going on and so on. But if you are watching this on Twitch right now, you can follow us, because maybe in the next few weeks or next few days we will be streaming a more in-depth test of each of the main board. Maybe if we have time, I don't know, depending on the guys there. If you're watching that on YouTube, you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel, because we might be posting more and more information about what's going on, and more about like the in-depth analysis and the backstory of everything that is happening. We didn't speak too much about all what the chipset can do. We have USB 3.1.
Just read it in their reviews. Like,
just
Hades and Neo made a review, so check it out. It will tell you everything.
And although there is a lot of change in some of the color scheme, I don't want to go too much in detail for that, but there's a lot of companies that went black and red, and some companies actually changed some of the color theme that they had for the past few revision of few series to a new one, or adopt a different way of doing it, and it's actually quite interesting. On my just before finishing, what is the main board you're waiting the most, even if it's out or not out yet? Hades?
I actually am waiting for the Maximus 8 formula that isn't been announced yet, and I'm sure it will be launched. It will be the killer main board for this generation, I think.
Thanks. Neo, what will be yours?
Can I have more than one? Can I have more than one, please? Obviously, the Maximus 8 Extreme, the SoC, the Gigabyte overclocking board, and the MSI X Power, right? And obviously, OC formula.
So you basically want all of them.
All the OC boards. I'm interested in the OC boards. Those are the great ones, because that's where the competition is. Yeah.
Peter, do you have like a preferred platform or preferred motherboard that you might want to try?
I think I'm going to follow Neo's opinion here as well. So far, we've only seen the big results from the Maximus 8 Extreme, and those are engineering boards. Those are not the retail boards. So it's going to be fun to see when all the overclocking motherboards are on the market, to see what regular Joes can do with retail CPUs. And retail memory kits. And everything retailers and retail BIOSes.
Timothée, I guess that's gonna be a Mini ITX?
Yeah, I'm waiting for Mini ITX. That's the only, well, it's not the only one I'm waiting for. Of course, the OC boards are going to be interesting for the same reasons, but for me, like, it's always, that's where you see, you know, when you give motherboard vendors a very small space to work with, to see what they can actually do on a small size PCB. Actually, either be creative about it or do something new if you don't have enough space to fit your stuff. That's what I'm waiting for, to see something new there. If there's nothing new, it's just gonna be boring new Mini ITX as usual, and that will be really sad. You know, there's stuff I was really interested when Asrock did the X99 things, and you know, that's or like when you have the Asus thing with the extra VRMs that were just up vertically because there was no more space to put proper VRMs. You know, that's the kind of thing I'm looking for. So we'll see what the vendors can do on Mini ITX, and for me that's gonna be the call to upgrade or not.
Well, to wrap up on my side, I'm actually waiting to see if I get my hands on MSI X-Power, because they changed the team that was black and yellow, and actually I do like the complete silver one with the Z on the PCB and so on. I really like this one. The change of the team was like, well, I did like the previous one, like the yellow and black, but like, okay, like this one looks good, and actually it's not the black and red as before. Like all the gaming cards are actually having black and red, and I have one of my friends, like the one I was helping like last week, and he was actually waiting for the crate version, like the black and white, the complete black and white version. So we'll see, like, let us know, guys, on the live chat, which is the main board you are waiting for or looking for, and if you have any interest in all of the new features. Don't forget, we can always take the comments on the live chat and on the comment on the YouTube channel. We might be answering them in another live Q&A, or maybe in the next 2 weeks. Moving on to the next subject, actually the second one, and that's gonna be a very quick one because we don't have much time yet. Windows 10 launched on July 19th, so that's gonna be like over a week now. So it's like a week and a half, pretty much, that Windows 10 is launched. That's the new version of Windows. It's unified for all platforms: mobile, Internet of Things, desktop for gaming, desktop for regular usage. You can use that on tablet and smartphone. It's supposed to be one version of Windows, and it's supposed to be the last version of Windows you will ever need. That's how the guys at Microsoft.
That is really so bad marketing, actually. Okay, so for the future, guys, you don't need to upgrade anymore.
So you can understand that in two ways. That's the last Windows you will ever need, because that's gonna be the last one, and that's gonna be a grading by itself, or it's gonna be so bad they're gonna switch to Linux. But what I do think is kind of like FutureMark did on the 3D Mark series. They just did 3D Mark, and they're just now pushing new tests to it. You don't have to have the 3D Mark 14, 3D Mark 15, 3D Mark 16 and 17 and so on. You just have one version that is always auto-updating itself. That's all. Like if you think about it, it's like upgrading a service or adding new features of the service, and you don't have to buy for a new version. Like Adobe, the Creative Cloud system is exactly the same one. You're always up to date, and it actually makes sense to have like the core that is stay the same and just upgrade to that. First question on the live chat: did you already install it? Did you got the free upgrade? And my question gonna be for Neo: did you already test Windows 10?
Yes, I've actually. I signed up for the insider preview in January of this year. So I've just been watching all the different versions to get better from. I think my first test with Windows 10 actually wasn't in January. It was a bit later. It was with build 10.049. And with each successive iteration of this build, it's just been getting better and better. And I generally like it. In fact, I like it a lot, actually. Right? So I have no immediate complaints or anything that I've noticed that I want changed or anything like that.
Ades, did you try Windows 10 yet?
Yes, I'm in the insider preview, or well, the consumer preview since October, and I've been running the OS on a different SSD to try the differences among all the builds. And I got the RTM 2 weeks prior to launch because of the insider program, and also because it got leaked on the torrents websites, and I tried that before, and I gotta admit I had no problems since now. I've been reading about problems about everything: video cards, audio cards, legacy products, and I had really old stuff installed in my computer and I had no problems. I don't know why. Everybody is like, I got this problem, I got this problem. I was like, huh? I can't explain that. I don't know why. Anyways, it's a great OS. I think it's really sleek and fast.
Well, I think it will make some people love back the way it was, and some people was very pissed off with Windows 8 and Windows 8.1, and that's kind of like making everyone agree that yes, okay, it's a better one. They fix some of the issues. They might actually getting things right. There's also some backlash on like all the privacy issues and all the information that is collecting. The way that Microsoft Edge is actually pushing so hard by default, and I read that Mozilla, like the company doing Firefox, actually clashed back and says like it's so hard to just change the default browser for like the regular Joe, that they were like, thank you Microsoft for making this so difficult. That's not fair. And Peter, I think that you tried the Windows 10 on the Raspberry Pi too, right?
Yeah. But that's more of the, it's not really Windows 10, it's more Windows Core. So it runs on the Windows 10 core, but it's not actually Windows 10, so you don't have a desktop environment.
We have a thanks for the updates, but we have a poll going on right now on the live chat. We did post the link just a few minutes ago, and the question was Windows 10 and you, are you already using it? Are you waiting for the update? Obi-Wan and no, I use Linux. So far it's like 50% already using it, and 25% are waiting for the update. That was one of the things, the free upgrade for all the consumer of the previous Windows 7 and Windows 8 and 8.1. If you have a valid license for Windows 7 and Windows 8 and 8.1, you can actually get the free upgrade to Windows 10. That's actually, I did find it's a clever way for avoiding people to keep using an old system and pushing everyone to the new one where you can actually target everyone for your services. The way it is like, oh yeah, you can all get Windows 10 for free because you already buy for a license before, and then okay, so where are they gonna make the money after that? Maybe they're gonna make the money on the services like Office 365.
They don't make money on that. They make money on what the NSA gets from them.
Okay.
That's low. That's it. We are all using Skype now.
We're all using Skype and we're all using Google Docs. So I think it's fair to say that it's about time Microsoft starts doing the same than everybody else.
I don't like, okay, if we're going to touch this topic,
It's part of the Windows 10 topics.
I don't understand why there is not more of an outrage about all these features.
Of course there should be, it's terrible.
So I'm really confused why people are like, like it's bad, but
Everyone else is doing it.
I have it on my notebook as well, so I'm a hypocrite for trying to point this out. But there's one feature in particular. If you don't have the enterprise version, you cannot block any updates from happening on your PC. Which means that Microsoft can essentially push any software, any update, with anything that's inside the package of that update to your system, and there is no way you can prevent it from happening.
But wait, there actually is a tool.
Actually, there is one
There's
reason.
a tool
There is
For
one
the
way.
enterprise version.
There's a tool where you can actually select.
But okay, this is a tool that they gave out to those the
Is
vocal
it
minority.
like their CD player that costs $15?
No, it's for free. But this is a tool for the vocal minority to sort of ease it. How many people are actually going to? This is people who don't know this. They just get everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
You're part of the 1% that's like, hey, give me those updates back, and then they give you the tool, and you're like, okay, now everything's fine. No, it's not. No, because this is not by
Still not
default for
building
everyone
right.
else.
Yeah.
But Google does the same. In fact, Google collects all your information all the time.
That doesn't make it right.
Right?
They
So-
even collect your position.
Exactly.
That's even worse.
And they
It's
don't-
not
they don't
because
even
your
give you
neighbor
a tool.
kills someone that you can kill someone else. It's
They
not
don't even
because
give
someone
you
is
a
doing
tool.
it that everyone must do it. Right?
That doesn't make it. Yes, and that doesn't make it
Principally,
right.
it's wrong. It's very wrong. But at least you have some kind of recourse with Microsoft to say, okay, now I have the tool I can block these. With Google, you can't. There's no blocking anything.
This is very funny. I had this conversation with my parents. They regularly travel abroad or in Europe, and one of like a couple of weeks ago we were having a conversation on Skype, and my mom was saying like, oh yeah, we went on this website like Google Maps, and then we found our history. So we actually found that 2 years ago we were cycling through Holland, and like Google was exactly right on where we were. And they were very shocked by, hold on, I went onto this website, and this website, I can't even remember. I mean, I can remember which day, okay, on that day I was there, but not at that hour, that minute, I was specifically on this geolocation. This is strange. There is not much more of an outrage about the privacy issues.
Maybe you started something.
Probably not. But
I think the outrage is here since quite some time. You have all those websites, like in Europe, you have the Quadrature du Net, they're kind of, it's like they're advocating for like freedom online and the neutrality of the internet.
But it's
like, and like this whole NSA thing started from Snowden, but even before that, there was some, like all the WikiLeaks stuff. It's nothing new, it's just getting worse. It's just getting fucking worse.
The funny part is that it sort of boils down to, yeah, you're right about the privacy, but one, I don't have anything to hide, and it's so convenient to
That's
know.
a problem.
Yeah, the argument as, oh, they can spy on me because I have nothing to hide is like, yeah, you have nothing to hide now, but maybe in 5 years what you
No,
did now
it's not this.
is still
It's like,
legal now, but maybe
know,
in 5 years that's not gonna be.
There
That's
has
gonna be your
been
issue.
so many examples in history where governments, sure, don't give a damn about you, and then all of a sudden, like economic stuff, everything starts to fail, and then you have stuff like the Nazis and stuff that start, oh hey, we have so much data, we can actually sort people with this data, we can start to make decisions based on what people do and who people are instead of actually making decisions for the good of everyone, So it's like, that's the problem, if like people use this data for the wrong purpose, not actually just for collecting it for
The
helping
discussion
us out.
of privacy has nothing to do with whether or not you have something to hide. Privacy is a basic right, and it doesn't matter if you have anything to hide or you have nothing to hide. Privacy should be there as a basic human right. So it's not about, oh, I don't have anything to hide. That's out of the question. That's a false argument.
Yeah. So
But I think it's useless to speak about privacy when we all got a Facebook account.
And
like
doing a live.
giving out, yeah,
We accepted to
and
give
giving out
everything.
all of your information,
it's-
where you live, where you.
It's socially accepted, and also actually it's not even about socially accepted. You become a social outcast if you don't have a smartphone. How many of your friends are you going to be able to contact over a text message? You're not going to be in a Facebook group to, hey, let's meet up there. or
Just to begin with, how many of your friends' phone numbers do you know
That's
by
WhatsApp
heart?
and Telegram.
Well, there's always a saying it's not because you have nothing to hide that you should show it in public, and there's this the thing. It's not because, let's say, I have a huge part of my organs that I have to show it to everyone. So it's kind of like the same. Like, it's not because you have nothing to hide or because you're proud of something that you should show it.
There's a question in the chat, like someone saying, well, Microsoft is working with NSA. Yes, it's called PRISM. It was in the news a while back.
They just signed the contract. There's probably even a picture on the
Like
Microsoft social network.
A lot of people, like when you get into this debate, you would very quickly digress to a point where you say like, yeah, the technology is bad. No, the technology is great. In fact, I think smartphones' access to information in your pocket has wildly revolutionized the spreading of information. One example, for example, this is a stupid example, but when you're sitting in a bar with your friends and you're discussing something, for example, who scored that one goal in that legendary game in the 60s? 10 or 15 years ago, that would be one conversation for an entire night. Everyone having their own opinion, like, no, it was that guy and he scored from this angle. No, it was this guy.
You were so drunk.
Nowadays, you pick out, you look on Wikipedia and you find who it was. In fact, you go to YouTube and you can actually see the goal happen again in front of you, and you move on to a different conversation topic. So, in terms of information spread, that is fantastic. It's just that the collecting of personal data is...
Well, the scale at which Windows 10 does it is a little bit exaggerated as well.
It's
not like collecting a little bit in your emails to provide you with advertising or something. It's like OS wide. It's on everything, even your personal documents on your computer.
You can turn that off.
So that means you cannot even store...
But there is no one actually auditing Microsoft for this. I mean, it's turned off in the features. It says turned off. It doesn't mean it's turned off, right? There's no one checking.
In fact,
actually, when you install the OS, there's a list of things you can go fast or customize. You can customize and send basically nothing to Microsoft.
But how do you? Okay, so you can.
It's not Microsoft to blame. It's the user that go like next, and
it's always the same issue. If you make it simple, people won't care. If you make it usable and simple, people won't care what they have to give up for it. That was the issue with Android. That was the issue with most of all the privacy issue we had.
It's the same with the Apple OS anyway. It's the same. Yeah. It's the same deal going on with iCloud.
And anyways, the same privacy things that are happening on Windows 10 are the same that were happening on Windows 8.1. If you run the installer, there's the same exact list at the beginning of the installation. So it's just the same thing over and over again. Every time a new version of Windows comes out, it's always like, oh, Microsoft is bad, that is good. It's always the same.
It's still the best OS to run games, huh?
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah. ThemeOS is crap. Apple does have really noticeable games, so yeah.
Talking about games, right? Oh, sorry to cut you off. Talking about games, there are some positive parts to Windows 10, right?
Sure.
Of course, there is positive part. Like the privacy.
Let's go back to
always like.
WDDM 2.0 is fantastic. So maybe we'll get a new 3D Mark part module to test DX12. That would be really cool.
We already got one, the draw goals one.
Yeah, but it's not a real benchmark.
It's not about scores. Yeah,
it's an API test. It's not a benchmark.
So that would be interesting to see what it does about regarding threading, right? Because now that's a huge thing, right? Multi-thread rendering.
I'm glad there is not the welcome menu anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Like you can get it back, but when you go to desktop, if you move your mouse in the right corner, it just pop up. It's like this doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
I actually liked that. I got used to Windows 8 a lot. On the first days on Windows 10, I was like, that's not the shortcut I used to use.
Neo got shock after what you said.
Oh my god, that's the first time I heard somebody say they like Metro.
I didn't mind.
No, I didn't say I like
Metro. Oh, you didn't like Metro.
First of all, Windows 10 is Metro. So, your point is nonsense.
No, I'm saying that the start menu, so you're not dealing with the same thing. I couldn't use Windows 8.1, that's why I had to get a start menu for myself. So, and actually Metro becomes synonymous with the absence of a start menu, right? So,
yeah.
How is the app situation?
I actually uninstalled Windows 8 on the first time. It was like 2000 and something. I don't remember which year it was. Yeah, and then I was like, okay, I gotta take it because I'm a hardware reviewer. I need to test new drivers, new softwares, and stuff like that. So I was like, let's do this. I installed that, and it took like 2 months, but I got used to it. I'm not saying I like the start menu. I love this Windows 10 start menu.
So the only thing that actually changes with the start menu is when you want to open your applications, right? So you go with the mouse, you click on the start menu, and then you go browse your applications. The thing that was different with Windows 8.1 is that, at least for me, I switched from using my mouse to go to the start menu. You press the Windows key and then you start typing in the application name.
So basically you use it as a launcher.
Yeah, so, okay, whatever, Notepad, and you click.
So your only feature you use is actually the search functionality.
Well, Windows.
Something that was on
Something
the
which
on
was
the
the,
Mac for like
execute button.
years.
No, I don't have to click it anymore.
Yeah, you don't have to click it.
And with Windows 10, it would just pop out the small window, and it's exactly the same.
The same on Windows 7, Windows, and start typing.
No, Windows 8. Windows 7 just had a regular pop-up menu.
But it does also search if you start typing. It only searches in your menu. Only the applications in the menu. No files.
Well, that was so
no-
useful that no one knew it was existing before.
Yeah, it was there. It always has been there. Windows 7, you touch the Windows key, it opens the menu. You start typing it. It sorts the app inside the menu. But yeah, no one used it because it was only doing the apps, you know? Like, I mean, who does that? You want to open Word documents. Like, I even open archives of conversations. You just start typing what you were saying on that day.
And it opens up. That's
But not
really
in Windows, I don't know. Maybe it probably is as well. Same thing.
That's really good. But Microsoft had invested over a decade into getting people used to a start menu, moving from Windows 3.1, which I used to use, right? Because
Some people
Then when
were also
they
about not
removed it,
having the
people got
console
pissed
anymore.
off.
yeah, so you move.
I
from
was
that,
too young.
and you move from that. I mean, I come from DOS days, so that's a long time ago. But you move from that into the start menu, right? And then you remove it, and people complain. You're like, oh yeah, we shouldn't have removed it. Yes, you shouldn't have, right? You train people to get used to it. So I'm glad that it's back.
I think they just wanted to make a bold move of making something new, and it was a bit too new. So
Yeah, it was-
actually, they made a mistake with the Windows RT. I think that was the biggest mistake with Windows 8 to begin with. It was those two environments with those stores that don't connect. Half the apps were broken. It was like it's complete
Well, that's one
nonsense. And then
thing.
you force people
How
to
are they
use
gonna
that.
do it with Windows 10? Because they want to unify like
But it's
everything.
the
They want to
store, right?
unify. Oh.
It's
Yeah,
the
but that's
store.
the thing. It's okay to have the store, but the
They're
main issue
doing
was
it already,
the
and
application.
it's working.
Yeah.
But the main
It's
issue was
working
the
already.
application. You cannot have x86 application run on ARM and vice versa. So that was the main issue with like Windows RT and Windows for mobile and stuff like this. So I'm really curious on how they're gonna be pushing that in a different market space they want to be in. Guys, it's been an hour and 30 minutes that we're actually
Yeah,
talking.
we can wrap up, I guess. If
People
not
need
too
to
I
long.
work.
have one question. I have one important question, and I got asked quite a few times. Peter, does the RTC bug still exist on Windows 10, and if yes, on which hardware?
So yes, it's the same situation like Windows 8 and 8.1. Only on Skylake, it's not going to affect the benchmark results. We need to, I need to, or Christian rather, will double check this, but it should be like this. That was the information we received from Intel.
So it should
Okay.
be sold on Skylake.
Yeah. Well, solved is the wrong word.
Well,
It's
fixed.
There's a workaround.
not fixed, it's just not affected.
Yeah.
So you guys gonna be posting like a complete description on what is impacted and what is not. So
Yeah.
for everyone to know exactly which hardware they need to be they need to take care and so on. To sum up all that, Windows 10 launch, so we're gonna have DirectX 12 support from the OS and for all the games so far. There's still no games there. There's a few driver compatibility. I saw even on my Facebook some of the guys that were having issue with like the trackpad. And although we're gonna have some new performances, it's supposed to be a little bit faster than Windows 8.1. Windows 10 was like a massive success pretty much for Microsoft so far, like 14 million installation after the first 24 hours, and after a week there's more than 27 million installed. So that was quite impressive. That was all for this show. That was a pretty long one, and that was expected because Skylake is the huge thing that was happening last week, and we didn't even went too much into detail about the launch by itself and the feedback from the different press side and so on. That was more our own point of view on what's going on. If you have any more questions, you can stay on the live chat, and we're gonna stay a little bit around to answer some of the questions. Don't forget, guys, if you like this kind of content, you can always follow us on Twitch right here, or if you're watching the replay on YouTube, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and you will have like the information when we post in the new videos. You can always find us on all the social media. You always have to look for the name tag OverClocking-TV in one word, and you will always find it on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and maybe some other social media that we don't usually promote. Thank you guys for being here tonight. For you, Adas, I know it's quite late in the night. Thank you for staying with us.
Almost
It's,
time for breakfast.
Thank you for being
sincerely
with us.
for the next one.
And I hope you're gonna have a decent sleep after that. Thank you, Neo, for being, although for the first time in the for the first time in the OC show. Thank you for being the end model, showing up the main board. And you're welcome. So, guys, if you want to check out what Asus is doing, you can go to revolution.it, and if you want to see what Neo is doing, you can always search for the Overclocker magazine, and you will find what they are writing on and writing about there. Thank you, Peter, for being there with us. You did show up this time, so that's appreciated.
He's on time and we keep him late. It's like the payback.
So, thank you, Timothée, for the production. I think we had some issue with some echo. There's some guys saying that depending on which was the view that we had some echo. We're gonna find that out in the replay and fix that for the next time. And I would like to thank you all for being there. The next OC show gonna be released when, Timothée?
Next OC show is recorded next Monday, so it's gonna be released next Monday evening if everything is alright.
If Peter wake up sometime?
No, usually the OC show is fine. Like the recorded one, we do it either in the morning or in the afternoon, so it's not an issue. Like it's
Perfect.
not as early as right now.
Well, thank you guys. Stay safe and don't forget. Until then,
See
keep
ya.
pushing.
All right.
Keep pushing it, guys.
Thank you.
Click, click.